Who jumps out of perfectly good airplanes in the name of science? Mr. C.
Happy downhill day to you. It's all downhill after today. After Wednesday, only 2 days left. So I don't even have to ask. Rhetorical questions, your journal's out. Of course it is. Ready to write in it? Of course. Your lesson planner's out? Of course it is. Those are rhetorical questions that have obvious answers. Yes, Mr. C, yes. I've got my journal and lesson planner out. Homework in your lesson planner? Yes, Mr. C, I've already put in triple R tonight, triple R tomorrow night, test on Friday. So again, I'm going to rapidly rip through just the topics that are on the test. I'll load them up in RenWeb tonight, so you'll be able to look and check, got that, and use it, even use it as a study guide. Allergies, getting my voice, so you'll have to put up with my scratchy voice. So anyway, let's see what else I had down here. Test topics. Now, I'm going to ask you, and both of these are on your verse sheet. I'm going to ask you to write John 1:3. We know that. All things were made by him, and without him, nothing was made that has been made. Got it. I'm never going to forget it. That's the plan. And then Genesis 1:26. I'm going to have you write it. You've already written it a bunch of times. Some of you haven't learned it yet, though. You know, you've been assigned it many weeks, and you just keep missing it on tests. Are you going to miss it tomorrow? Genesis 1:26. Then God said, let us, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, make man in our image, in our likeness. God shared his likeness with us in small ways. And I'm going to ask you to write 4 ways that you are made kind of like God or different from animals. You could put made in God's image. That's a major way you're different from animals. And then I'll rattle these other ones off. This is going to be worth 2 points. The verses are worth 1 point each. I'm telling you, they're on the test. Are some of you still, I'm not going to learn those verses? Okay. All right. Throw 2 points in the garbage can. Your call. Anyway, 4 ways that you are different from animals or made like God. Different from animals, made in God's image, have a soul and spirit, way more intelligent, dominion over the animals, dominion, God gave us dominion over them to rule over them. We have a sense of right and wrong, a conscience, self-awareness, we're aware of our existence, hyper-emotions, so that it really colors what we experience, creativity. So anyway, there's a bunch of them right there. There's 8. You're only going to need 4. That'll be worth 2 points. Okay? So that's that. Then I'm going to ask you, I already said, I'm going to ask you these questions from the most recent 7th grade test. I'm going to add to the bunch. 2 reasons a metric system is used worldwide. Base 10. Rhetorical now, I hope. And it's only got a few prefixes to remember. King Henry, which I'm going to have you write. Standard units in the metric system. Some of you still missing these. What is it for length? That would be a meter. Did you notice as Perseverance was coming into Mars, they were calling out its distance above the surface in kilometers or kilometers, thousands kilo of meters, and then finally meters. It got to where it was just meters above the surface, and then it got really exciting. So next, how much space an object takes up? That is V4 volume. How much space an object takes up? You got these in your journal? Are you putting them in your journal? Trying to go slow enough so you can get them. Probably won't go over these tomorrow again. Won't have time. So, next, the 2 qualifications for anything to be matter. It's got to have mass or made of atoms. And then it's got to take up space or have V4 volume. 2 characteristics of matter: take up space, volume, and made of matter. Okay. The smallest parts of everything is made of these. Everything in the universe is made of atoms. They were supposed to be the smallest part there are. Nope, 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 nope. We now know, and I'll show you in a little bit again, that atoms are made of smaller particles. Protons, positive charge. Electrons, negative charge. Positive, negative together, neutrons. All of the protons and the neutrons found in the nucleus. Some of you are putting down neutrons for the center of an atom. Nucleus. Center of an atom. Nucleus. The nucleus. Yep. So I'll ask you all that. Okay. And I just want you to never forget, what is a vacuum like? No matter, no atoms. Major characteristic. Yep. And then the 4 kinds of matter, okay, packed really tight together. Super dense. Super dense. Atoms squeezed in really tight. Solid, not squeezed in as tight, and they roll over each other. You can pour them. That would be a liquid. Solid, liquid, gas, spread out, free floating. And then on the sun, super hot, flying around, atoms flying around. Plasma. Plasma on the sun. Okay. Did I mention density? How tight atoms are packed? High density. Of course I did. Just trying to glue it in your brain. You're welcome for the brain glue. Okay. And then, people, on the sun, what's it made of? Mostly H4, hydrogen, 75% hydrogen, hydrogen, fusion. And on the sun, what does that produce? Helium gas. About 25% of the sun. Heat and light. And light. So, I'll ask you that again. I want you to know this. And that's called fusion. Hydrogen, fusion, helium, heat, light. How many times have I done that for you? How many? Way over a dozen. Are you going to get it? Is it in your journal? Okay. I'll find out. What do you call the different kinds of atoms? There's about 10 times 10 of them. A little more than 100. 10 times 10 of the kinds of atoms. Or 10 to the second, right? 10 to the second kinds of atoms. Those are called elements. Elements. Yes, they're organized on the PTE, the periodic table of the elements. I'll probably say it like this. Give me a one-word answer for the 10 times 10 kinds of atoms. And you'll say elements. Okay, I'm going to ask you for these 6. I'm getting there. These 6 elements. The 2 found on the sun, hydrogen and helium. And their symbols. H for hydrogen. He, he for helium. The 2 kinds of atoms found in our atmosphere. O2. What's the other kind? Most of the atmosphere is N for nitrogen. Why didn't the Lord make more oxygen in the atmosphere? Because he didn't want the atmosphere and the earth to always be going kaboom! Because a pure or higher oxygen atmosphere would be incredibly flammable. Boom! Not good. So he knew what he was doing. He's a chemist. What kind of scientist isn't Jesus? There isn't one fact he doesn't know. Not one. You mean he knows everything about science? Oh, please. He's the ultimate scientist. He made everything out of what he made it out of. So of course he knows science. Science is all about what he did. Every area of information about the universe and what it's made of and how it interacts with each other. It's his deal. So, and don't you love it where evolutionary scientists pretend to know everything and there's no God, so there isn't any God, so I'm going to believe that everything accidentally formed. Well, you're an idiot for believing that, because everywhere you look there is design. I shouldn't say you're an idiot. I'll rephrase. Rewind. You are deceived. You're deceived. You don't want to believe there's a God. You're deceived. You've been tricked. And it's not going to work out well for you if you don't believe there's a God. It's a bad place to be in. So anyway, back to the atmosphere. Oxygen, about 20%. Nitrogen, about 80%. Not quite, but about. So O2 for oxygen, N for nitrogen, and then C for the element of living things. What is it? C for carbon. I'm going to ask you these and their symbols. I keep telling you. And then I still got the big chunk of rusty iron. There it is. The rusty side. I'll stick the magnet in there. You can see some rust in there. Oxygen is combined with the iron. By the way, this is super dense. I mean, for the size of this, there's a lot of iron atoms packed in here. Iron, Fe, iron. So I'll ask you that. So I'm just reviewing. So all of that. Let's see what else really quick. That's it on that. Okay, that's all of that. All right. Let's see what else. Check. I did that. Check. Yep. Make sure I got it all in there. Yep. Okay. Yep. Make sure I got this. Just a couple of things about atoms left. The electrons are spinning around so fast around the nucleus that it makes an atom look fuzzy or hazy. You can't see into the center if you could magnify them enough. Or if we had like super magnification eyeballs, they'd look fuzzy because of the speed of the electrons around the center. And they're incredibly tiny. Incredibly tiny. I'd say probably there are millions of atoms in a period on your paper. So I'll have to check that out exactly, but probably. Okay. So anyway, so I'm going to ask that. So by the way, the design of an atom is one of the most powerful arguments that there's got to be a God who created it. Because atoms are not random. They're made of specific protons and neutrons and electrons and have specific properties or characteristics. And they make specific kinds of matter when they hook up with other atoms. So just one atom is beautiful evidence that there has to be a creating God. Very powerful argument. Super, super powerful. Okay, of course you're going to do the King Henry. So review it. King Henry. How fast can you do it? I don't know, 30 seconds. King Kilo 1000, Henry Hecto 100, died Deca 10. by base 1, and then drinking deci 0.1, 1/10, chocolate 0.01, that would be 1/100th, and then milk, milli, and that's the prefix, milli, and then 0.001. The prefixes are a part of it. 3 answers for each one, king, kilo, 1,000. You've got to have the amounts too. So look those babies over. I already said I'm going to ask you about your superpower. Your superpower, everything about you. Your Go Tappy package. Gifts, opportunities, talents, abilities, personality, physical appearance, caused by your DNA, your purpose for being alive. God's got a great purpose for you. And then you're made in God's image. By the way, it's really sad. It just strikes me. Evolutionists who don't believe there's a God don't have any real purpose for living. They think they're just an accident, and they live out their life and die, and that's the end of them. No afterlife. Remember all the no's. No soul, no spirit, no heaven, no hell, no God, no judgment, no eternal life, all of those. Sad, isn't it? Sad for people who believe that. Anyway, superpower, okay? Who gave it to you? God. What is it for? To make Him look good, to glorify Him, to bless Him, to bless you, and to bless others. Okay? So I'll ask you about that. So all of that will be there. Okay? So you're welcome for all this. Here's the atom, and I'm going to ask you about atoms and why they're not the smallest particle. Because they're made of, you can see in the nucleus, protons and neutrons. You can see orbiting the nucleus, electrons. And then the way atoms hold together is proof there has to be a God. Do you remember the 2 glues? Besides gravity, you won't be able to use it. I might ask you, what are the 2 glues that holds the atoms together? And you're going to say opposite charges, electrons, negative charge, protons, positive charge. Opposite charges attract. So that holds the atoms together. There's one. And then the other one is, the protons in the center shouldn't stay together. Every atom should explode. Because like charges repel each other. It's the way it works. It's a principle. Opposite charges, negative, positive, attract. Like charges repel. So why don't the nuclei of atoms repel the protons? Why not? Because of the strong nuclear force. The strong force that is super powerful and overcomes the repulsion power, the repelling power. The strong force holds protons together. Pretty good. Had to be designed. Right there is proof. Just all matter, all atoms that make up all matter should explode, and they don't. So, and you remember some of the other subatomic particles. Subatomic just means under the size of an atom. Sub, under, atomic, atom. What are some of the other particles? Gluons, leptons, there's a couple of them, baryons, and a bunch of other ons. Different, smaller particles of atoms. Okay, so how are we doing time-wise? Good. So I want to revisit Mars just a little bit, and then if I don't have time today, it's okay. I'm really going to go after stars tomorrow. Okay, so anyway, the major characteristics of Mars, sorry. So if I had you write down, right now, I'm not going to have you do it, just say it to yourself. 3 or 4 of the major characteristics of Mars. If you're going to tell somebody, well, you know, we've just studied Mars in science. focused on Mars and science. So what is Mars like? It's about half the size of Earth. There's one thing about it. Half the size of Earth. It's super cold. It has ice caps. How cold is it? About the temperature of Antarctica. Average is about 80 below 0 Fahrenheit. I won't ask you that. But it's about as cold as Antarctica. That's important to know. This stuff's in your journal, right? In your journal. Just checking. Man, when I was in junior high, Mr. C, were you a good student? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Did you work hard? Through 8th grade. Yeah. What'd you get? Straight A's? Yeah. Why? Because you were super smart? I'm smart. Like you are, I've got some above average intelligence, probably. I love to learn. I'm curious. Anyway, I was a good student. So what did you do when the teacher said this is going to be or might be on the test? What did you do? I put that down in my notes so fast. Oh, baby, that went down in my notes really fast. How about you? Do you do that? Nah. Okay. So, how'd you do in high school? Okay, math got hard. Other than that, I triple R'd pretty good. I was a good triple R-er. So, anyway, back to Mars. It's real cold. It's not all that big compared to Earth, about half. So, all of that. What else about it? So, any other thing about Mars? Oh, yeah. It's got a very thin atmosphere. What's it made of? CO2. What is that? The gas you breathe out. CO2. What is that? Carbon for C, O2. So, carbon di for 2, oxide. Oxide, oxygen. Okay? So, CO2, it's made of CO2. It rotates about the same speed as Earth, about 25 hours, just a little bit slower than Earth. So, anyway, what else about it? Its gravity is about 38% of Earth's. So, if you weighed 100 pounds on the Earth, you'd weigh what on Mars? 38 pounds? So, not that much. So, did I miss anything? Those are the biggies. It's really dry, really dusty. There are dust storms. Those are the major things. Okay? About it. How could I miss this? We think it had water on it at one time, and that's why scientists are so excited, because they think if it's got water, that means it could have had life. It could have. And water's an essential to life, an essential ingredient, water. So if I said to you tomorrow, this is one of those things when I was in junior high, oh, baby, I would have written this down really fast. One of the essential ingredients for life, water. Do we think it was found on Mars? Yes. Why? Dry riverbeds, dry lake beds. So, Jezero Crater, where Perseverance landed, boy, wasn't that exciting. I'm still fired up about that. And I've still watched the landing today, even again. It's so exciting. Anyway, Jezero Crater, we think, was full of water at once. That's why Perseverance landed there. They want to check out the soils and see if there's any evidence of microorganisms, tiny life that lived in the water on Mars. Could have been, but if there is, who made it? God. Life doesn't form by itself due to the law of biogenesis. Okay? You only get life from life. Scientists know that, but they're in denial about it. They go, oh, it happened all by itself. Oh, yeah, right. Sure, I'm Santa Claus. Yeah. Sure. Just makes zero sense. It's not logical. The evolution idea is not logical. You'll be told it is all your life, and it gets tiresome. I get tired of hearing it. I'm so looking forward to being in heaven and go, oh, Lord, I am so glad to be here and just be able to give you all the glory for all that you made. And not even, I don't want to hear about it gradually evolved over millions and billions a year. Oh, please, I'm going to puke. It just makes no sense. Just silliness. But if you don't want to believe in God, you believe silliness because you're deceived. That's the reason. So, anyway, did you ever thank God that you're not deceived? Did you ever thank God? Did you ever thank Him, Lord, thank you that I know the truth. Thank you that I know the Bible is true. Thank you that I know you made everything. Thank you that I know that. Thank you that I see the evidence, the design evidence everywhere. Thank you. Thank you, God, for letting me in on that. And it's not a secret to me, like it seems to be to a lot of people. So, we praise you, God, for that. Thank you for blessing us in that way. So, what else about Mars? All of the figured out questions about Mars I'm going to ask you. All those things about Mars. Okay, why is it orange? Iron. Okay, you remember. Why is it so cold? Hardly any atmosphere to hold on to the heat, and it's a long way away from the sun compared to us. The sun would only look half as big on Mars because it's a lot further away. That's why. So, why does it have a big temperature swing? 150 degrees temperature swing. Even more. Could be 70 degrees in the daytime in the summer on the daytime side, and then at night minus 100 below zero. Woo-wee! Or the coldest day in winter. Okay, big temperature swing. No atmosphere. No atmosphere. So, why only 38% of the gravity? It's got a whole lot less mass. Doesn't have as many atoms. More atoms, more gravity. More mass, more pull. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Isaac Newton. Yeah, appreciate it. Okay. Why is there a 7-minute delay signal minimum up to 11 minutes? So the Mars Perseverance rover lands on Mars and we don't know about it at the JPL headquarters where they're monitoring it. They don't know that it really landed until 7 to 11 minutes later after it had already landed. It could have crash landed, you remember, and they wouldn't have known it for 7 to 11 minutes. So, why? Because it's so far away, it's 300 million miles away right now, and a lot further other times during a 2-year cycle, I think it is, where it gets closer and then further away. I won't ask that, but it would be a good figured out question. Why does Mars go a lot further away from us than other times? Because it's got an elliptical orbit, just like we do. You know, an elliptical orbit. It's a flattened circle. No charge. Why is Mars heavily cratered? No atmosphere. Doesn't have a shield like we do. Our atmosphere is a meteorite shield. Okay? Why do they think there's life on it? Water. Why did they think Mars evolved? Because they think Earth did. Why did they think Earth evolved? Because they don't want to believe in a God. Why do they think Earth and Mars is billions of years old and the universe is 14 billion years old? Because they don't know that for sure. Okay, I want to read something to you. Let's see if I can find this. There it is. Listen to this. Can science prove the age of Earth? This is written by a PhD scientist. The widely accepted age of the universe is currently 13.77 billion years, and for the solar system about 4.5 billion years. However, listen to this. This is the truth. No scientific method can prove the age of the Earth and the universe, and that includes the ones that are listed here. There's about 100 evidences that the Earth and the universe is young. Thousands of years, not billions and millions. But you can't know it for sure because it's just an assumption for everybody. So here's what it says. Although age indicators are called clocks, they aren't, because all ages result from calculations that involve making assumptions about the past. But we don't know how that works in the past. We don't really know. It's like this. It's assumed that the moon is really old because the moon's craters, it's assumed, have happened over billions of years. But what if the cratering all happened very quickly? Could have happened that way. Just like on the earth. How did sediment get laid down so quickly? The flood. So when we see the sediment layers, it doesn't mean they're billions of years old or millions of years old. They got laid down really fast by the flood. Oh, yeah. So I'm just pointing out, it's all assumptions. So it's assumed Mars is old because it's assumed Earth is old. It's assumed Earth is old because it's assumed the universe is old. Assumed the universe is old because it's assumed the Big Bang happened 14 billion years ago. Hey, by the way, do explosions like the Big Bang, do they cause complexity? Do they cause things to be designed? No, just the opposite. What do they cause? Chaos. And they don't cause things to come together. They cause them to be blown apart. Doesn't make sense. I'll give you more Big Bang stuff tomorrow. Okay. Anyway, did a lot of reviewing. I'm still pumped up about Mars. You can still look at it. You can show, by the way, the lesson where I had that video up on Friday is now on Teams, and you can show it to a parent and get 10 points. Show them that 5 minute 45-second video and you get 10 points. Show your parents Orion, and I'll talk about it tomorrow as well. So I'll do a little bit more reviewing, but I'm going to talk about Orion and stars tomorrow, and then the ages for the universe and for the Earth tomorrow. I'm going to focus on those things, and then if I have time left over after that, I'll do some more reviewing. Remember, the topics are up on RenWeb in the homework section Wednesday night, tonight. They'll be up there. So have a look. RRR. So 10, 15, 20 minutes, RRR. You'll do well if you do RRR. You won't do well if you don't RRR. You won't. So, or you might be okay, but you won't do real well. So I'm just telling you, little hypothesis, you'll do well if you RRR. I will see you tomorrow on Thursday when we'll be able to see the weekend. By the way, after this week, only 2 more weeks, and then it's spring break. Woohoo! See you on Thursday.